In this video, I'm going to share 6 practical strategies to help you shift out of the freeze response. At the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can access a powerful technique that can help you stop making negative predictions and instead to be more open to positive possibilities and shift into more calm and confidence. I'm Pimenta. I had ME, CFS and fibromyalgia for 8-9 years, and I went from not being able to walk for 1 minute at times to being able to work full-time, play sport again and live my life. I now make free content to help people with these conditions, to help you move towards your health goals. And I also coach people with these conditions. I want to promote the idea that you can move past limitations of fear, self-doubt and negative self-talk. So recently I did a live webinar with Dr Elanor Stein. The title was Make Stress Your Ally. You might think that giving a presentation isn't relevant to you at the moment, but I think the strategies I'm going to share are applicable to other situations. For example, if you've got a meeting with a doctor that you're concerned about, or you have a family gathering coming up and you know there's going to be someone there who says unhelpful things about your health condition, I think you're going to find these strategies helpful. So Dr. Stein is a medical doctor and she developed ME, CFS, and she's made massive progress on her recovery. She's able to be much more active, and she used a number of strategies to do that, including mind-body approaches. So in the invitation to the webinar, Dr. Stein said, "This webinar will rock your world." I remember reading that email thinking, that's a big claim, no pressure then. The evening before the webinar, I received an email from her telling me that 300 people had signed up for the webinar. When I went to bed, I could feel that my body was going into the freeze response. I could feel tightness in my neck, shoulder and back. This was a subconscious and habitual response. It was an old response. I'd experienced many occasions in the past where something triggered me into the freeze response. It might have been someone saying something unhelpful and I didn't want to get into conflict, so I suppressed or repressed my response. And in the past, the idea of presenting to a big number of people would have been absolutely terrifying. Actually, at one point, even presenting to a small number of people was scary. I would have been worrying that it wouldn't be good enough, that I'd be worrying what people think, that I'd mess up. And I'd be worrying about it well in advance, not just the night before. I remember when I was best man for my cousin, I was worrying about giving the speech for months in advance. The first time I did an online presentation, I couldn't speak due to the fear. Part of the reason I couldn't speak is that I hadn't done enough preparation. And the reason I hadn't done enough preparation was I just had this daft idea that I should be good without doing any practice. Okay, this is very fixed mindset thinking, and we'll talk about the opposite in a moment. So I applied some of the tools I'd learned over the years to help me prepare for the webinar. The first thing I did is to talk to myself in a constructive way. I reassured myself that I would be good enough. I've given talks many times and I've always got good feedback. If I messed up, then I could learn from it. I have messed up before and I've learned to be more relaxed about that, whereas in the past I would have been giving myself a hard time. And I recognised that I wouldn't be thinking about this webinar in 5 years' time. The second thing I did is I shifted my mindset. I used a technique called the resilient mindset method to stop making those negative predictions and to focus on other possibilities. The idea that it might just be okay or it might be great. This is a technique I developed because I recognized that both myself and clients I work with were often focusing on the thing they didn't want. They were predicting a negative outcome, making it more likely instead of focusing on what we do want. And I spent some time visualizing it all going well and remembering all the times when I have given a presentation or training and it's gone well and I've got great feedback. So even just remembering those good feelings brought back some of the good feelings in this moment. The third thing I did to move my body just 5-10 minutes before doing the presentation. Now, I'll show you what I was doing, but use your judgment. If you're limited in how much physical activity you can do at the moment, then you can start really small. So, for example, I was working with a couple of clients at the beginning of the year who were very fragile. And they couldn't do much physical movement, but they could clench their right fist, release. Clench their left foot, release. Clench right foot, release. Clench left foot, release. And one client just kept doing that. And that was a way of just getting out of her head and getting into her body. You might do a body scan where you clench your right foot, release it. Clench your lower leg, release it. Clench your upper leg, release it. And then work your way through the whole body doing that. What I did is I just spent some time just shaking my body and moving it around, tapping my body all over, okay? Just really just getting some movement in my body rather than allowing my muscles just to get tight and constricted, which is what they would have done in the past, okay? And doing that reminded me of the film Cool Runnings, where the Jamaican bobsleigh team had to find their own way of staying loose and not freezing up. The fourth thing I did is just to focus on the fact that I was serving people. The fact that I was going to be sharing information that I knew would help some people. My philosophy has always been that if I just help one person, then that is a result. The fifth thing I did was to just allow my feelings. So I allowed myself to feel these sensations in my body without going into fear overdrive, without saying to myself, oh no, I'm feeling anxious. I share some other strategies in that webinar, and I'll put the link below this video or comment below if you'd like it. The sixth thing I did was to practice the webinar, my presentation. So I practiced going through it a few times just to familiarise myself with my ideas and content. The growth mindset embraces the idea that it's okay if we don't think that we're naturally good at something. We can develop the skills. In the webinar, I talk about the importance of practice. Brain training is all about practicing until we get really familiar with something. And as I say, I share other techniques to help navigate that fear freeze response in that webinar. All these things made a massive difference. I was happy with the way the webinar went, and I was good enough. I believe the information that both Dr. Stein and I shared was really useful. I think the webinar did rock, and the feedback we got and the feedback I got from the guided exercise that I did was really positive. The exercise was all about tapping into your inner wisdom so you can shift your mindset from being fear-based to trust-based. So consider how you can apply what I've shared. Maybe if you're concerned with a doctor's appointment, you might think about what they might say, how you might respond, and you might practice that. I had one client who was concerned about an appointment with the doctor, and when the doctor said something that she felt was inappropriate, she actually said to the doctor, I think that comment is inappropriate and not aligned with your Hippocratic oath to do no harm. And she did say to me, I didn't say this to the doctor, but had he not changed his attitude, I would have made a formal complaint. So if you're concerned about someone, a family member, let's say at a family gathering, saying things that are unhelpful, again, you might consider how you might respond to them and practice that response. So if you'd like more tips about how to respond to people who are behaving in challenging ways, then check out my video dealing with people who don't understand. So if you'd like the link to the webinar recording and the resilient mindset method, then the link is below the video. I'd love to know what your takeaway is from this video, so do leave a comment and do subscribe if you found this content helpful. Hit the notification button to be notified of more content. And do share the video if you think it will help somebody else. If you'd like more free content, then you're welcome to join my Facebook group. Again, link below this video. Got any questions, get in touch. Thanks for watching. Keep going, you've got this. Wishing you great health. Bye for now.